You know, before this week, I would have answered that I resoundingly loved Daytona, but after this week in the ARCA series, I don't know that I love Daytona so much anymore. This was, and it's not necessarily the track's fault by any means, but man, it's just chaos and stupidity and selfishness and wrong decisions all over the place, and it's really, really frustrating. To go through an experience where just people, the whole field, yourself are just getting wrecked out of experience or out of a situation that you didn't have anything to do with. And that was really the case for the whole week here at Daytona. And the frustrating thing is there's not a whole lot of skill you can use to get yourself around those situations because you're just flat out on the same line the whole time. And so for qualifying, everything is very close, and it's pretty much a crapshoot about where you're going to end up on terms of the very top or the very bottom, because that margin is so small. And from there, you really just have to hope the person behind you pushing does really well, or you have to make sure to find yourself a good pushee and just keep yourself real close to them the entire time. And I found it real easier to be a good pusher than it was to have to find good pushers. And so here you can see me on the outside, and right now in particular you're going to see me get bumped by this Lightning McQueen car behind us several times in a row, going back to back to back. And these ARCA cars don't bump. They don't bump draft. It's really frustrating. It's just wrecking the ARCA car when you run into the back of it. It doesn't do anything good for it, and so it was real frustrating to even see my race ended and other people's races ended by bumping. And this guy, man, it got close a couple times to really taking out the entire field through the bumps that he was giving, and it was real frustrating an experience. And it was just kind of stuff like that was happening all week. And beyond that, it was just surviving the chaos or trying to do, there we go, here's a pretty big bump, you can see what it did to us. But beyond, here it's going to be a montage of bumps. But beyond that, you can see we're not getting good pushes, and that's why we're so far behind all these other cars, and why we were never able to actually clear that DuPont car next to us, the 11 car next to us, and be on the front row, because this guy, as you can see in the rearview mirror, just keeps leaving huge gaps between us and that car. So I was finally able to get behind this 5 car, who was a good pusher, and I figured that it was going to be a good experience being third in line here as opposed to being first in line on the top row. And we settled into it eventually, but eventually we're going to get a huge push here from that green 9 car, which is really going to mess things up again. Slot us back into that the DuPont car, that Dodge, and then us. But then this Micro Center 14 car is going to get into the mix too. So now the 4 of us have a little echelon going. But just to save some time, we are going to regroup a little bit. But I was thinking, maybe it's possible that could just be our big incident, and the 4 of us could try to, run away from the field and have a small field go into the final laps, as we're halfway through the race right now. But we're starting to get into the lap traffic, as you can tell, and things are going to start to get more and more dicey, more and more sketchy. They go 3 wide through the lap traffic. It makes sense why you wouldn't lift in this situation to let the 5 car in. Not only is it giving a car in front of you that you're going to have to try to pass on the last lap, but also, if you lift, you might be removing yourself from a draft that might take a very long time, or if you might lose it completely for the rest of the race. And here we are now at a good spot. We're on the bottom row, second in line. We're pushing the 11 car, who's been very solid all race. And that Dodge, that Miller Lite car, the Dodge Miller Lite Gold car, is stuck behind a car that has been a little inconsistent and has been new to the front. So I'm feeling really good about our position at this point in time, and I just need to keep it smart. And that's really the only thing to do here, right? You're holding on the pedal almost flat, right? When you get up to close to people, you just got to back off just enough to keep it as close as possible. That's the secret, right? Keep your car as close to the other car in front of you, and that involves lifting, braking, whatever you do to do it. And so it just wasn't enough, though. You can see that the 5 car next to us is just good, is a good pusher. and they're able to bring their car to the front. That Micro Center car, we lost them. I think they got a little high and went into the wall and just flew back in the pack. So leaving the three of us left. Here I'm going to kind of hang that 11 car out to dry here as we get no one behind them. As we can see a little bit of wrecking behind us as we come up to some lap traffic here on the top and the bottom. Love that they split the road for us like that and didn't just stick to one side. We could have run away. We had enough gap from the field. We had enough distance and speed. And we had then these lapped traffic cars. We could have put a gap, the three of us, and run away with the podium at this point in the race. But we start checking up on each other. We start messing with these lapped cars. And this 5 car played that perfectly in terms of getting themselves in second position. However, I got to trust that DuPont car wants to get pushed by me and not the 5 car. I got to trust that I pushed better the entire race. I got a very scary pusher coming up behind us. And I think they're even lapped down, so I'm terrified seeing that Lightning McQueen and our rearview mirror as we go into the last lap. And the whole thing I know here is if I can stay in second place in turns 3 and 4, I can win this race. But I'm flirting with third place here and without a draft. So if I can keep the 11 car right where I need it, and you can see I just lifted off right there, and I think that was my fatal flaw here. I think if I had kept it going there, that would have given me enough momentum to keep myself in front and get around this 11 car, maybe get just side draft. But it is at this point where I'm in a real dangerous spot here, and we're starting to make contact. We're starting to argy-bargy, and as we come to the line, there's some big contact. It doesn't change the standings there, but that was some pretty huge contact. 1, 2, 3 DuPont car, I finish in third, and that 5 car finishes second. But man, I am happy Daytona's over. We'll see you next week in Atlanta.